Merry Christmas, motherfuckers, and welcome back to the Bants. As always, I am your host, the Bants. And even though it is Christmas, it is still a Monday, so it is time for our first What's Happening in Fashion for the week. Also, real quick side note, just because we didn't have as many videos as we wanted last week, these next couple videos might be a tiny bit longer, and by a tiny bit I mean probably a couple minutes. And as you might be able to see just a little bit, I got my ugly Christmas sweater on. So let's just get right into it. And first off, we have a couple art stories to cover for the day. And starting us off, High Snobiety put out a quick little feature on the No Shitty Ads skateboard exhibit that is going on right now at Commonwealth in LA. If you don't know what that is, basically it's a giant retrospective of all the skateboarding ads that have come out over the years, but specifically like the 80s and the 90s. And that's all going to be running till the end of this month. So if you have a chance to go down to Commonwealth in LA and check this out, I definitely would. Then it was announced that David Rockefeller would be selling off his entire art collection through Christie's auctions sometime in spring of 2018. And this is huge because he has stuff like Picasso's and Monet's and Manet's and Rothko's and just crazy stuff along that level. So even though we won't be able to afford it, it'll be very interesting to see what actually goes because big art is always good for the scene. Then if you happen to be in Italy in the next couple days or weeks, I would definitely go check out Rick Owen's new exhibit. Basically, it's a retrospective of a lot of his furniture and some of his art pieces and some film he's had over the last couple years or decades of his work. So if you happen to be interested in him or even just happen to be in Italy and just love fashion, I definitely check this out as well. And lastly, legendary graffiti artist Futura just opened up his Futura archive shop, which is basically a way of getting a lot of his oversized postcards that he's made over the years. And even though right now it's all completely sold out, hopefully we see restocks on that soon because there's some really amazing pieces in there. Alright, and then moving on into fashion now, Beams Tea just opened up their newest pop-up in Dallas, and I have to say this is a pretty cool idea. So if you're not familiar with Beams Tea, it's an offshoot of the legendary fashion store and brand Beams, and basically what Beams Tea does is they take a lot of these younger, fresher, newer Japanese designers that aren't necessarily known across anywhere except for Japan, and are throwing pop-ups around the world, but here it's in Dallas. And so it's a really cool concept because it's really helping all these new young guys kind of get their toes dipped into the water. So if you are a fan of just Japanese streetwear, especially stuff that you haven't been able to get or haven't seen before, and you happen to be in the Dallas area, definitely check this out. It's pretty cool. Then Stone Island released their lookbook for Spring/Summer 2018, and as per usual with Stone Island, it looks pretty good. Obviously their clothes here aren't really breaking the Stone Island mold. It's exactly what you'd expect from them. It's some very nice tech wear, some very nice use of color, some interesting designs, especially technically here and there. Overall, pretty decent stuff. If you are a fan of tech wear and are looking to add a little bit more color to your style or wardrobe, always look here first. Then Neighborhood and Kumba came together to help the Darkside initiative celebrate their 10th year anniversary, and I think this is awesome. Although there's not many pieces here, that doesn't actually happen to be a problem this time. It's a lot of just obviously inspired neighborhood pieces, but because they are Darkside Initiative, you are getting them at a lower price, which is always fantastic when that happens. So if you are a fan of either the Darkside Initiative or even Neighborhood, I definitely check these out and get them if you can. And of course, I do have to give a special shout out to the Darkside Initiative. If you guys are familiar with what that is, it's a San Francisco clothing store that specializes in a lot of Japanese styles, especially more kind of black and white styles. Really cool stuff. Check them out if you don't know about them. And to you guys, congratulations on 10 years. I can only hope for at least as many more down the road. Then the Hundreds came together with Hedley and Bennett for a small workwear collaboration, and I actually think it's okay. The designs here are pretty interesting in my opinion, not anything over the top, but still pretty good. The graphic tees are also very nice as well. The only thing I kind of have a problem with is the apron, just because I don't think anybody in their right mind would be caught dead wearing this. But even so, decent collection overall. If you're looking for maybe a little bit more crazy workwear or some just nice streetwear in general, I definitely check this out. Then Sasquatchfabrix released their Spring/Summer 2018 lookbook, and they did a very nice job as well. As you would expect, if you've ever followed Sasquatchfabrix before, there's definitely plenty of craziness here, whether it be in colors, motifs, or just styles in general. However, maybe it's just me, I feel like this collection is a little bit more subtle than what I'm used to seeing from Sasquatchfabrix, but even so, that isn't necessarily a bad thing here. Even if it's not their craziest stuff, I still think a lot of the pieces work well on their own as well as part of a wardrobe. I think a lot of the lack of color here is nice in the sense that it lets you kind of appreciate the pieces more for what they actually are in their crazy and wackiness. If you would consider yourself a fan of Japanese streetwear or just Japanese style in general that's a little bit more abstract or even contemporary in this sense, definitely check this out. You won't be disappointed. Then Ignored Prayers released their Fall/Winter 2017 collection, and honestly, this is just fucking stupid. At first, I really found myself kind of actually enjoying this collection, but the more I looked at it, the more I realized it was just literally blatant ripoffs of things that many other brands, specifically Supreme, have been doing over the last couple months. There's Akira pieces, there's Bones fucking pieces, there's really absolutely no creativity here whatsoever. If only they could ignore trends the way they ignore prayers. So I guess if you just want to buy cheap ripped off versions of Supreme, check this out. Otherwise, just don't bother with it. Then Cav Empt released a lookbook for their Spring/Summer 2018 collection, and unfortunately it's very hit or miss for me. There's a lot of subtlety in a lot of the pieces here, and as far as Cav Empt goes, I really don't want to see that. Mainly just because that's not what Cav Empt is known for. And even though they have done some pretty great subtle pieces in the past, a lot of the stuff here kind of looks bland, unfortunately. However, I do have to say, on the other hand, that a lot of the crazier, maximalized pieces, if you want to call them that, here look very well done as per usual with Cav Empt. The only thing that's kind of really unfortunate about it is that so many people have just bit this style to death that even though it is Cav Empt and it is good, it's just kind of becoming murky to me just because I've seen it so damn much because people just can't be fucking creative. But even so, if you consider yourself a Cav Empt fan, a Vaporwave fan, or even just a maximalized streetwear fan, definitely check this out. There are a couple cool pieces in here. Then Black Eye Patch released their latest capsule collection, and we just gotta talk about this for a second. Now the pieces here, I'm not really interested in. The graphics themselves look nice, but what I really want to talk about here is just the quality of this stuff. Like, are you fucking serious? You actually put this stuff out. Like, what the fuck? I know I've talked about crappy placement of graphics before, and even though that is a big red flag here, there is a much bigger and redder flag. And that's how these graphics have been placed on these pieces. I mean, seriously, look at the fucking jackets. How fucking horrendous is that? Like, that just looks fucking legitimately awful. Like, there's no fucking way of recovering from that, making excuses about that. It's just fucking bad. And you should really just feel ashamed that you even let this go to market. But I guess if you are a fan of just really shitty clothing that's going to be way overpriced when it falls apart, this is for you. Then Factotum released their Spring/Summer 2018 collection, and I really like it. There is definitely nothing crazy here when it comes to contemporary wear, but even so, that isn't a bad thing in this case. There are some very well designed pieces here. There's some very nice use of color as well. A lot of the motifs look very nice. A lot of the layering looks very nice. And there are even some subtle details here that just really make the pieces pop without going overboard. Overall, really well done. So if you do consider yourself a fan of contemporary and are looking just for some nice pieces to add to your wardrobe that aren't too crazy but still colorful, I definitely start here. Then, in this week's Commonwealth news, Commonwealth just opened up another store in Manila. So, congratulations to them. Obviously, stuff's going to be a lot cheaper in the Philippines, but even so, that's 2 stores in the last couple months. Like, are you guys just on the come up, or are you just hoping that streetwear is going to just explode? Well, either way, as I always say, congratulations. I love seeing more brick and mortars in the world, especially during the times that they're kind of dying right now. But the fact that Commonwealth is doing so well, especially because it's such a cool store, I just have to say congratulations and best of luck as per usual. Then Lad Musician released their Spring Summer 2018 lookbook, and it's pretty great as well. There's a lot of really nice, subtle is really the word of the day, huh? Designs here, and they work out very well in this case. There isn't a lot of color, but even when there is, it's very nicely well done. Detailing is nice, layering is nice, overall looks are very nice, patchworking is very nice, patterns are very nice. Nothing really bad here, but at the same time, nothing really crazy either. So if you do find yourself a fan of, once again, more subtle contemporary, I wonder if this is going to be the new style for the year, then I would definitely check this out. This will be right up your alley. Then Paradis released a lookbook for their Fall/Winter 2018 collection, and I have to say, I think this is pretty amazing. Even though this isn't necessarily the biggest collection, just the amount of details here is absolutely incredible. The graphics are great, the embroidery is great, just the amount of just little minute details in just things like this sequence or the patchwork or anything else that just complements these pieces so nicely. Just very well done. Just hats off to you for sure. So if you do kind of find yourself one of those people that enjoys looking at pieces that you really have to look at to get an eye for the detail in them, definitely look into this. You won't be disappointed. And lastly, and kind of unfortunately, Kappa came together with Danilo Paura for a Spring/Summer 2018 capsule collection. Now, I do have to say, in all honesty, for as much as I absolutely fucking detest Kappa, this is probably the best pieces they've done so far. Would I wear it? Fuck no. But even so, just kind of some of the ideas that are coming across in this collection, aside from, they're just blaringly gaudy, fucking side stripes. Everything else is kind of cool. I like a lot of the patchworking, the detailing, the use of color and texture. Overall, pretty cool stuff if it wasn't Kappa. Alright, and with that, let's move on to our articles for the day. And first up, put out a small little article kind of detailing as to why a lot more American textile jobs are closing up shop. And they kind of go into the fact that how a lot of it is done by machines nowadays. So if you are interested in kind of, American goods or just kind of textile business in general, I definitely give this a read. Not a lot here, but still kind of insightful. Then Denim Hunters sat down with Kaya and Demetria of Self Edge, so if you consider yourself a denim fan, or just a fan of, brick and mortars in general, I definitely give this a read. Very interesting stuff. Then Quartz put out a very nice article going over this idea that if you were to pay 15 more cents per t-shirt out of India, it'd be enough to allow the people making those t-shirts to earn a livable wage. And it's a really cool idea because it's obviously been thrown around a little bit in this whole idea that consumers would spend up to 30% more to know that their stuff was made ethically and help others out. And so this, once again, is just kind of proving that fact. So if you're kind of interested in just kind of the socio-economic side of fashion, or just even this whole idea of being able to help those that are like less fortunate than us, definitely worth reading. Then High Snobiety sat down and did an interview with Kidsuper, the artist who's kind of been making waves nowadays, who I also talked about their clothing line just very recently. So if you're interested in kind of knowing about this up-and-coming name, I definitely check this out. Then Fashionista put out a very interesting article kind of going over this idea that up to now and still today, over 60% of all of our clothes are still made out of a factory environment. That is, they're made by artisans, by hand, in whether it be their home or otherwise. And so because of this, why don't we talk more about them? Really great read, And if you're interested in that kind of idea of, people actually getting what's due to them and the acknowledgement and just kind of how important like just handicraft still is, definitely give this a read. Very, very interesting. Then GQ put out a very cool article kind of going over how they believe Yeezy Kanye West is kind of breaking the reseller market. And what I mean by that is that to get his new shoes, you actually have to buy some of his apparel first. And honestly, I think this is a great idea. I really, if you haven't been able to tell by now, fucking hate resellers with all of my heart and soul. And so seeing how you have to make people kind of actually buy product aside from what they necessarily just want to resell to be able to resell something, I think it's great. But on the flip side, it could totally crash and burn and just cause the remarket to just even skyrocket further. But I mean, once again, the people that are into reselling have to pay through their wallets. And if you choose to not do that, then the resale market crashes. So if you are a fan of just kind of what reselling has done to, fashion in general, or just kind of the ideas of business and fashion, I definitely check this out. Then Vestage sat down with Demna, so if you're a fan of Balenciaga or Vetements or just shit fashion in general and want to see how he keeps everything quirky from not selling out, read this article. Alright guys, and I think I'm going to end it there for today. I apologize if I seemed like I was kind of rushing through a little bit of that. I'm honestly so backed up on articles now that I'm just going to try and pump them out as much as possible, just for the next maybe like a week or so until we can kind of finally cool back to where we were before. But aside from that, I want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. Hope you guys have a good day with friends, families, loved ones, whoever. And, just relax while you can as we head off into this new year. Also, just be on the lookout for maybe one or two other interesting kind of monologue-y videos in the next coming week or so. I've read a lot of articles recently that have kind of put some ideas on my mind, and I'm kind of looking forward to sharing that with all you guys. And with that, as always, all the articles I talked about today I've linked in the description below. And if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or just want to talk about fashion in general, always feel free to hit me up. Alright guys, and with that, it's the end of our Whif for today. Thank you very much for enjoying and viewing as per always, and I'll see you guys very soon. But until then, until next time.